Welcome to the program. I'm Mark Imperial. This segment's being brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where busy professionals, entrepreneurs, and business owners publish to grow their businesses and to leave a legacy. We're doing a series of spotlights on remarkable experts across the country and in your town. Joining me on this segment is Kody Mack. He's the founder of Pro DJs and Event Services based out of Abilene, Texas. Kody, welcome to the program.
Hey, Mark, how are you doing, sir?
I'm good. I appreciate you doing the spotlight with me. Kody, tell us a little bit about Pro DJs and Event Services, and specifically the types of folks and services that you help them with.
So I like to be the one-stop shop when it comes for bride and grooms. Simply put, if it's anything for a wedding, come to me. I work with a lot of the different vendors here in town already. So whether that be your vendor or your venue rather, photographer, cake cutter, cake maker, anybody. We actually have our own on-staff officiants. We have our own event coordinators and event concierge on staff. So besides the entertainment, we're more than just DJs. We don't like to sit in the corner as some DJs do. We're more of your full day of coordination, if you will.
Full day of coordination. Absolutely. So Kody, before we jump into it, let's tackle like the elephant in the room right now, the pandemic, the recent pandemic, and how that has just decimated the wedding industry and any types of gatherings. What's that looking like for you today? And take us a little bit back and tell us how that immediately impacted your business.
Well, so before COVID hit, I was actually just contracting with other DJ companies. After COVID became a thing during my first year of operation by myself, where I actually started everything up, running under my own banner, and surprisingly didn't have hardly anything really affect us. I had one date actually get rescheduled, but still was in the height of everything happening with COVID. So I'm thankful that we weren't really affected too terribly much here. I know that a lot of people didn't go alternative routes, maybe with the justice of the peace, but a lot of them I'm already getting booked this year to where they're having their receptions now.
That's great news. So it sounds like in your part of the country, things are open back up and things are almost back to normal.
Almost back to normal. Texas will definitely, the Texans like to not necessarily go along with the social distancing things, but as vendors, we have to stick by that, enforcing social distancing, and the venues having to make sure that they're staying at capacity. But with us now opening up back 100%, we don't have anything that we have to worry about too much with that.
I appreciate that insight. So let's jump right in. Tell us, like, are the biggest benefits of working with a company like yours, and how to help a bride and groom navigate their reception, one of the most exciting parts of their big day. What's the benefit of working with you guys?
Working with us is like if you go with a wedding coordinator. Typically, a wedding coordinator is one of the first vendors that you hire for your wedding, and they're going to help you pick out the other vendors to get everything together. One of the first ones should be the DJ, because they are the ones that are going to help make sure things stay on time, make sure that the right music is being played, the sound system is in place and sounding perfect. Because while a florist could have something not look just right, go and fix it, we don't get a second chance to play that certain song right at the right moment. So going with us and getting us involved early on in everything is really the most important thing. And going with that, we're able to work with all the other vendors, whether we worked with them together or not in the past. But whenever we all work together like that, it's just going to make your day run a lot smoother.
Kody, so for a lot of folks getting married, it's the first time that they're having a reception and hiring vendors and throwing a big event like this. So there must be a lot of like misinformation or myths or misconceptions out there. What's like the biggest myth that you've heard from a bride that perhaps sends them on the wrong path at planning their wedding and the reception and entertainment?
Probably the biggest one is, you don't need a DJ. I mean, get an iPod. That is what you hear more than anything else. And trust me, I've been to iPod weddings, and while they can be fun, you're missing out on a lot of things. Whether that be your cake cutting, just having that one special song being played with that you may not have thought of. But also getting the expertise of somebody who's literally doing nothing but weddings for their business and making sure that everything could possibly go right for your day. One of the biggest things that I find myself doing whenever I'm on the mic at a wedding is doing the tiny things like making sure champagne is poured and at the table ready for them before we start the toast, or getting the bride and groom over for the cake cutting and there's not any utensils or plates. It happens all the time, but as a master of ceremonies and DJ, I'm readily able to jump up there, grab that, and make sure that things are running smoothly with it. So thinking you can just go with an iPod can't do that.
You know, to your point, and sage advice. I've attended a couple of iPod weddings, and what people may not realize is that it's not just the music that's happening, but it is the coordination, as you mentioned. You need sort of a spokesperson for the bride and groom, or a host that's going to direct the activities. I tell you what, it felt no different being in a wedding than just being in a restaurant with just some conversation.
That's exactly what I like to do. In fact, I say it quite often around a lot of things. I say it real often, and I try to market myself this way. I want you to be a guest at your event. So let me help with that.
Yeah. And another thing that folks may overlook is the fact that when there are formalities that occur, the cake cutting, the first dance, who's going to make that announcement? I saw a lot of clumsy, people looking for the mic, looking for the father, a lot of confusion because there was nobody taking care of any of that. And I believe some of the formalities even were overlooked and forgotten completely.
And they quite often are whenever you're looking at those iPod weddings, but you're still seeing that trend right now in weddings. A lot of the formalities are starting to, or special events rather, that we've known forever are starting to go away. Maybe a third of my weddings this past year actually did a bouquet and garter toss. So while it may not be as important to you for for that event, for instance, but you got to have that first dance. You've got to have it. Who's going to be the one to talk about it and get people ready and get all eyes on you for your big day?
Hey, at the end of the day, my father used to teach me, you got to spend the quarter to save the dollar, because you're already spending a ton of money on this wedding. Why wouldn't you make it the absolute best? And that would be like the entertainment and how these folks are going to feel and experience your big day with you, rather than just attending a dinner.
Exactly. And that's why I don't just sit in the corner. I'm not a DJ. Well, yes, I can spin and play music and everything else. Most importantly, I'm a master of ceremonies. We're going to make sure that everything at your wedding is going to run smooth as possible.
Kody, what inspired you to get into wedding entertainment, and what brought you here and to start your own company? Take us back a little bit.
So, well, we'll go all the way back to the age of 6. Rudy Fernandez at King 105, a CMA award-winning DJ, brought me into the radio station, liked my voice, and it kind of went downhill from there, if you will. I was doing the little kid commercials all through elementary school up till junior high. I got a job at an AM country station, playing music on Saturday mornings for 3 hours, and even reading obituaries on air. A very small town radio that had been in operation for over 60 years. But fast forward to the weekend I graduate high school. I graduate high school one night and I DJ my cousin's wedding the very next night at 18 years old. And haven't stopped doing them since. I don't focus on trying to do the kid dances or anything like that. I've done 4 proms. That's it. That's all I've ever done. I like weddings, and mainly because I like seeing how I can help a bride and groom throughout their day. Just knowing that I'm able to take some of that stress off of them, and it's something that I enjoy doing. It's a win for me every time.
Sounds like wedding direction and entertainment is in your blood, Kody. So before I ask you my last question, for brides and grooms and couples planning their big day in your area listening right now, what's one big piece of advice to a bride when it comes to planning for their entertainment, but don't know where to start? What should they do?
Just talk to your DJ. Whether that be me or any of the other DJs here in town, find one it's going to mesh with your personality. Because if you find that's one that meshes with your personality the best, you know you're going to have a good time because they're going to have your best interest in mind. It's all about that click. And if you don't have that click, talk to another one. But always make sure that you're able to have a good open communication with them where they're available at any given time. And of course, I'm here for you too.
That's simple and sage advice. I love it. Kody, for folks listening now, want to connect with you and learn more, where do they find you and how do they connect?
You can find us online at prodjsabilene.com, or you can give us a call at 1-888-PRO-DJs1.
Kody, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking the time to share with my audience today, and I wish you continued success for you and for all of your clients.
All right, Mark. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it. And by the way, I love your books.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it. That was Kody Mack, founder of Pro DJs and event services based out of Abilene, Texas. And this segment's been brought to you by booksgrowbusiness.com. It's the place where professionals, business owners, and entrepreneurs publish to grow their businesses and to leave a legacy. I'm Mark Imperial. That's all for now. Thanks for listening.